What is going through your mind when you are in an online argument with a stranger or even your childhood friend? For many of us, disagreement used to be something you navigated in person, but at some point, a lot of that shifted online. Arguments after counter-arguments, your chest feels tight and your heart is racing. But at that point, you are not looking for the truth. You're looking for self-preservation. Not an attempt to understand, but a response that would hold your ground. At that time, it feels like that you're doing something reasonable. You are defending your position, you're using logic, you're presenting facts. Psychologist has a name for it. Leon Festinger calls it cognitive dissonance, the physical discomfort you feel when your worldview is threatened. Now, Leon developed this theory in the 1950s after observing a cult that believed the world would end on a specific date. When the world did not end, instead of admitting that they were wrong, the members became even more devoted. Imagine this particular scenario. You pride yourself on being an intelligent, rational person. But you've just shared a post that is embarrassingly fake. At this time, your brain enters a state of cognitive dissonance. To stop the pain, your internal defense lawyer, what we call as a motivated reasoning, will immediately offer you a way out. It will whisper, well, if this specific post is fake, the message behind it is still true. Or it may say, I was just sharing it to start a conversation. Now, these are survival strategies for the ego. They allow you to stay right in your own head while ignoring the facts that you were wrong in the real world. How should a truly rational person respond? Not by defending the error, but by choosing intellectual humility over self-preservation. So here are 3-step breakdown for an ethical response. Step 1, quiet the alarm. Recognize that you are in a fight or flight feeling in your chest, and just your ego is trying to protect itself. You're not the post you shared. Your identity is not defined by one click. Step 2, correct the record, not the narrative. Resist the urge to say, it is basically true anyway. Step 3, model the behavior. Publicly saying, I got this wrong, I have deleted the post and I'll be careful next time, is actually the most rational thing you can do. It signals that you value truth more than you value certainty. In a digital world designed to keep us in a state of constant rightness, the most radical act of media literacy is simply saying, I was wrong.
प्रधानमंत्री जी से मुलाकात हुई?
हाँ मिली, दर्शन हुआ उनका दर्शन हुआ
जी
नमस्कार किया.
This is the holy war in the United States. We're fighting for God by voting for Trump.
Who is your favorite political leader? Are you a fan? Did you submit yourself to a supreme leader? Be it MAGA or be it the Modi Bhakt. People who support for politicians feels less like a vote and more like a religion. Support for a political leader is not just argument, it is affiliation. And once belief becomes affiliation, disagreement becomes threat. The reason facts don't work on them is a phenomenon called social identity theory developed by Henry Tejfal. He found out that we don't just join groups, we derive our entire sense of self-worth from them. In this mindset, the leader isn't just a politician, they are a symbol of the community's pride and historical identity. No wonder we hail some leaders as Hindu Samrat or even see them as a Masiha. As Dan Kahan explains, through the identity protective cognition, when you criticize the leader, the devotee's brain does not hear the political argument. It hears a direct attack on their family. To admit the leader is wrong feels like watching the whole community lose its dignity. To protect that identity, the brain simply filters out the scandal or the corruption. That is why these conversations become so emotionally charged. You might be talking about corruption, talking about policy failure or inconsistency, but the other person is hearing something else entirely. They are hearing a challenge. They are hearing a challenge to their identity, their community, and their place within it. This creates what we call as a spiral of silence. You might be a supporter who sees something clearly wrong, a violation of ethics or a failed policy, but you stay quiet. Why? Because you know the price of membership is total, unthinkable loyalty. So when you're arguing with someone who is defending a leader at all costs, it is not always useful to assume that they don't see the issue. Sometimes they actually do. but they are balancing something else. They're balancing loyalty, identity, belonging. It is not always ignorance. It is sometimes the price people are paying to remain part of something. And that is a much harder thing to argue against. When we turn politicians into gods, we don't just lose our objectivity, we lose our ability to hold each other accountable. If we look at how we argue today, online, at home, in politics, we don't enter a conversation to understand the situation. Most of us argue like we are trying to win a court case, but you can't heal a society or a friendship with a verdict. I want you to consider an approach by Gilligan, who calls it the ethics of care. Take the sharpest disagreement we have. Let's talk about a debate over abortion. A justice lens starts with a rule, either it is right or it is sin. But a care lens starts with the person. It will ask, what is the most loving and the supporting response for this specific woman, in this specific struggle? When you look through the lens of care, you stop arguing about abstract principles and start looking at the reality of a person's fear, their poverty, their medical risk. You don't have to abandon your values to acknowledge someone else's suffering. Now, this does not mean that you are abandoning your conviction. A pro-life person doesn't have to give up their belief in the value of life. But the framework challenges something deeper. It basically asks us whether our belief is capable of engaging with the full reality of the person in front of us, not just applying itself from a distance. In other words, can a principle remain intact while still being responsive to the human situation it encounters? Because in most of our disagreement, be it political, personal, we are not actually responding to situations. We are applying positions. We are reacting to statements as if they exist in isolation. And once that happens, conversation collapses very quickly. There is a research around intellectual humility that shows something quite interesting. People who are aware that they could be wrong are less likely to treat the other person as inferior and more likely to stay engaged in the conversation. And even when those conversations do not lead to agreement, they often reduce the hostility. Not because minds have changed, but because the other person has stopped being reduced to a position. As Batchelor suggests, the goal isn't to be soft. It is to leave an inch of light between your identity and your opinions. That tiny space is where curiosity lives. And I think this brings us back to the core tension that runs through all of this. So here's the challenge. So next time you are in a dinner table and things get heated, don't start your rebuttal. Ask a question about the other person's experience. Look for the relationships before you look for the rule. Moral seriousness is not the same as moral certainty. You can hold your convictions with immense strength while still refusing to dehumanize the person who doesn't share them. That inch of light is the only thing that will keep the conversation and your community from going dark. I'm Dr. Sabir Haque. See you in the next one.